All right. Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm Claire Jones. If we haven't already met, I'm an author and small publisher committed to changing the world for the better through inclusive stories and practices. And we are jumping on today for my Authorvision Facebook Live series where we interview we interview each other, the amazing and inspiring authors in my network to discuss the personal visions that have shaped our lives and careers. So if you're joining us, please like, comment, share below. Let us know that you're here. Today I'm talking to Jenna. Yay!
Oh,
Yeah, she's one of my TikTok buddies. And I was like, you
yes.
need to get on my podcast. And she was like, okay, okay.
I was very enthusiastic. Maybe I didn't come across it. The nerves got to me, but I'm so happy to be here, Claire.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you here for sure. So let's jump right on in. Tell me your backstory. How did you get to where you are today?
All right. So, really not the most engrossing story, if I can be honest. To me, it's pretty, it's like, oh, cool. That's what I did. But I actually, my mom told me this recently that I've actually been creative writing in some form or another since I was 3. I just make like marks on the page and then I would read my mom my story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I've just always gravitated toward creative writing and wasn't the best student in high school. I did okay for myself, but the maths, the sciences, I didn't do all that great, but I could always pull myself along pretty okay in the writing categories, English, creative writing, poetry. So those were the classes I really paid attention in. Maths and sciences, where I should have been paying attention, I didn't. I was just writing things
Yeah,
in my mind and
yeah,
pretending I was taking notes and, just writing story ideas.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so as a very angsty goth teenager, which I am no longer, despite the outfit.
Well, do we ever kill that part of ourselves,
I mean,
honestly?
she's in there a little bit still.
Yeah.
I don't let her out very often.
I mean,
Um,
if writers didn't have the angsty teenage stage, like, I don't know if they're truly a writer.
yeah, I know. If you didn't like torture yourself at some point to the point of embarrassment, are you a writer really?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, so as that phase I went through as a teenager being, I was quite angry at the whole world.
Mm.
I just started kind of dabbling in short stories and the creative writing courses I took in high school really kind of helped with that. And then it was after high school and getting into college that I started just writing longer stories. So
Mhm.
I kind of moved into longer form. And the very first attempt I made at a book, which I did not finish, but it was in my mind, I was 19. This is going to be, I'm going to write an amazing book. And it was, again, just angsty garbage.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I did like that old-timey Parisian author thing of where I would type out the pages, I'd print each page, and then I would pin them up to my wall, and then
Yeah,
I'd like,
yeah.
make the, adjustments against my wall. And that was in my mom's old house. And she actually, when she redid her house, she sealed up my very first book in the walls. So that's like kind of there forever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
hopefully it's never found. And
Oh,
if it is, my name's not on it. But so that, so it's like that was my start. We rarely start in a place of natural talent. So I just kept going with it and did the college thing. Wasn't, I'm grateful for my experience. Wasn't really for me. Went from college right into the workforce where I worked in the accounting field for over 10 years.
that's
And
so funny. The jump from not liking maths to working in the accounting field.
I don't tell me why I did that to myself. Some of it was just like blind luck. It's like I fell into a job that paid me well. It gave me the ability to write in the evenings and on the weekends without worrying about paying my bills.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I continue to write and there's a book that I wrote and I finished. I started writing it 12 years ago. It's called The Dreamers. I've
Mm-hmm.
not released it. I haven't finished it. It's very much a time capsule. It's who I was back then. Um, but yeah, that was the first book that I wrote and that I finished, and I was really proud of it. I wrote bits of book 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the job that I was in was pretty stressful at the time, so I couldn't really commit to it But I never lost my love for writing.
Mhm.
It only grew the more I did it. And then COVID hit.
Mm.
And with COVID, it was such a horrible, scary time, but I was, one of those people who was very lucky in that I was able to work from home and
Mhm.
I was able to do a little more writing because I didn't have the commute. And
Mm.
I started realizing I'm I'm really not happy in my overall life.
Mm.
And I made the decision, like, I'm going to quit my job March 31st, 2021, and
Oh.
I am going to live as a full-time writer for a year. And
Mm.
I drained my retirement doing that. So I have some work to do for the future, but I feel very lucky in that that was a goal I set for myself.
Mhm.
I was able to do it, and 3 weeks after I quit my job, I finished the book that I just published, Halo of Fire.
Mhm.
Because I'd written like some of the bones of it in 2016, but after I quit the job, it was like 3 weeks later, book was done, and then I spent 2 years basically cleaning it up and learning how to publish and market a book, which led me to you.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think everyone's journey looks different in this regard. And that's the point of this season of this podcast, is to showcase that, like, some people do start out with writing at a very early age and it's just this very strong continuing thread throughout the life, but then some people just fall into it like you fell into accounting, you know.
Yes, yeah. First, I mean, absolutely. I knew a girl, not to go too far on a tangent, but I went to high school with a girl. She was an exchange student from France. She'd never read or written a word of poetry in her life, and she joined our poetry class in high school, and she wrote some of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. And
Mhm.
she's like, oh, I kind of didn't know I could do that. And I was like, well, don't drop it, keep doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And we need more people like that in our lives too. Like, there's this ongoing joke in this season as well when I'm talking to authors, that there's kind of like this required 10-year incubation period when it
Really?
comes to writing. Like, when you first start really trying to do it to
Uh-huh.
when it actually comes to fruition.
I guess so, yeah. Oh, that are you finding that like that's just kind of an across the board like general deal?
Yeah, yeah. It just seems that seems to be like, the seed was planted at some point in time, or like an attempt was made at some point in time to like actually do this thing. And
Mhm,
then
mhm.
it just takes 10, 12, years to actually publish the book or
That's
get started
incredible.
like seriously writing the book. And I think we need more of those people along the way who are like, no, 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 stick with this. There's
Yes,
something here.
yes.
Because I know for myself, like, I didn't really have that kind of influence in my life, because writing too is one of those skill sets that underlines a lot of different skill sets.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
like, when you're talking about like the subjects you excelled in because you had that skill in writing,
Yeah.
like history falls under that, writing history
Yes,
covers,
definitely. Yep.
even when you're analyzing sociology, anthropology, like all of these other subjects, like it's
Mhm.
have to have that writing almost analysis plus like summarizing skills
Yes. Yep.
underlining all of that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, and that, it's so interesting you point that out. It kind of puts it in a way I hadn't thought of it. Like, you can take a subject you've not studied very much, which I did not do a whole lot of in high school, but you can form one opinion on even just this small thing within a
Mhm,
subject. And if you
mhm.
can clearly articulate your opinion about it in writing, you're gonna, you're good. You're good. So yeah,
Yeah.
writing will really save your butt
Yeah,
a lot
it
of the time.
will. And so it's not really one of those skill sets that people points out and been like, oh, this is what you're good in. Like,
Mhm.
this is where we see promise in your skill development,
Yeah,
because it's so transferable to so many different things.
it is. Yeah, it
And
is.
like, that's my argument for a liberal arts education, honestly. Like, I went to a liberal arts college, and within the humanities focused framework of liberal arts, you really learn how to learn more so than what to learn.
Oh, that's incredible. That's very valuable.
And so
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
approach any subject and apply that research knowledge, that summarizing knowledge, that forming an opinion knowledge that you have to
yeah.
pretty much any topic out there.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's another thing I hadn't thought of. I didn't go the liberal arts way. Honestly, I didn't know a whole heck of a lot about it, but I mean, you just made an incredible argument for it. So if anybody's like really wondering, like, oh, should I? It's like, yes, do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, what kept you going throughout this time? Like, what was the vision you were aiming towards? What was that goal, that North Star that kept you going?
Honestly, it's more for a long time I didn't have like the hard goals, like I said, until COVID
Mm,
hit and all of us, really were able to take that moment to go, am I happy? Why am I doing this? I can't sleep at night. Okay, the bills are getting paid, but beyond that, what is this giving me?
yeah.
So prior to that, like what kept me going was just this general idea of I want to be happy.
Mm,
And, because, I'm very lucky. I have wonderful family and friends, but I'm a very introverted, cerebral person. And, I've got three brothers. We're all pretty close in age. But I grew up, feeling quite isolated and lonely.
mm,
And that was just really within my mind.
mm,
Um, I felt I really had trouble relating to people, even my friends, even some of my family. And I've always been a dreamer, like for
mm,
better or for worse.
yeah.
It's sometimes I have trouble with attention. So when I was younger and I would watch movies or read books, I would just feel so transported, and then I would like create versions of that within my own mind. And I would think like, oh, that would be a cool movie to see. That would be a cool book to read. So it was just kind of propelled by this feeling of, feeling a bit isolated, a bit misunderstood, and just always having this dreamer trait in my mind of wanting to be in different worlds and different characters, and that just grew into, well, I want to create that, and then I want to share it with other people like people shared it with me when I was younger.
Mm,
Um so actually Christopher Nolan, when I started writing, like, for real in the, or like 2010, he was a huge influence on me just
mm,
because he creates such unique
mm,
immersive ideas. Um and as I was going through my career in accounting and realizing, great paycheck, I'm learning a lot, I'm very grateful, I'm very fortunate, but I'm not very happy.
mm,
What do I want to do? What is going to make me happy? That this feeling that I have felt has been very elusive most of my life. And it's like, well, what do I love doing? I love writing. I love creating characters and worlds and plots and hopefully twists and turns and things like that. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I know I love doing that. And I write, nearly every day. I write every weekend. So how can I utilize that to make me even happier? And it was one day, it was like, should I try to turn that thing I love doing into the thing that is my career, the thing that makes
that's
me
the
money?
question. Yeah.
Like it took me 30 plus years to figure that out. And then, once that happened, the goal was, okay, I have, although people would say it was very ill-advised, I have access to my retirement. So the goal is, here's the end date of, my current career.
Mm,
And the goal, I want to finish this book that I had started a few years ago, because I feel like I'm onto something that I
mm,
enjoy. Maybe other people will enjoy it. And then from there, it was just broken down into so many little goals based on what can I do and what can I not do. So I determined, you know, I can proofread my book and edit it, but only up to a certain point. So
mm,
then the goal was, I need to hire an editor. I
mm,
have no artistic ability whatsoever. So then the goal was, I need to figure out how, like, who and how to hire a cover designer.
mm.
Um, and then the goal that took me the absolute longest to achieve was to figure out how to market my book and use TikTok. And that scared the hell out of me. Like I still, when I'm making TikToks and I'm like trying to promote myself, promote my book, I'm like shaking in the background. And then it's just like, hey everybody, I just want to let you know I published a book, you know. So it was really, it was a very nebulous idea to get me to the thing that was actually pretty obvious, which is I love writing, I want to publish my books, and I want to make that my career.
I love this conversation because that is always the question that people ask is like, how do I actually market this thing that I created, right? And coming from the world of business, I have a lot different perspective on this than many authors do. And
Yeah.
I just want to point you out in particular when it comes to your TikTok content, because audience, if you haven't seen her TikToks, go see her TikToks. But I love the dichotomy that we're painting here of like you still feeling unsure, you not really knowing what you're doing, because we were talking about this prior to going live on this podcast as well today, is like there's this still base of an uncertainty here in your marketing efforts, but at the same time, you've also succeeded at creating a distinct brand voice for yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Which
Thank
I
you.
think a lot of authors and creators miss because they try to be like everyone else. They try to
Yes.
emulate what they see out there because they're like, oh, if that's successful, then I will do it too. And,
Yes.
you know, and then they just end up looking like everyone else. So there's no differentiation for them in the market.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I really want to like almost do a case study on your TikTok content to be,
Oh my gosh.
this is how you create a distinctive brand voice for a creator in a way that is relatable, but also inspirational, because you kind of need to hit that balance of stuff because you have a very dry delivery of your TikToks. Like you don't spend
Really?
time. Yeah, you don't spend a lot of time on production value.
Yeah,
I spent a
yeah.
lot of time on like doing dances, doing the trending sounds, you know, all of this like other
'Cause I
stuff.
don't know how.
And
Honestly, I don't know
that's
how.
and that's a perfect example. I just want to highlight it because people come to me all the time thinking that they have to do those things. And they're avoiding marketing activities because they feel like they have to do the things that they don't want to do in the marketing
Yes. Yeah.
activities. And so I just want to like put a little bow around this topic that inserted itself into this conversation
Yeah.
because you're a perfect case study of having that uncertainty and still doing action, but in a authentic way to
Oh, thank you.
your brand. So just
That's
want to put that plug in there.
that's like, thank you so much. I like, as I have said to you, I've said to anyone who comes across my TikTok page, I've made no secret. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like
Yeah.
I just, you know, like, oh, let's see if this works. This seems to have worked. Let's try like it again, but in a different way. So,
Yeah.
so getting that feedback and validation from you is like wonderful. It's so appreciated.
You're very welcome. I'm happy to provide it. I almost feel like I need to start my own podcast series where we talk about like how authors approach marketing, not necessarily like the tactics that we use, because we spend a lot of time and energy on tactics and strategies and metrics and all of that jazz, but we don't talk about like, I was scared shitless before I hit record on this.
Oh my
And
God. Yeah.
that is just the reality of the situation because so many people see the video, but they don't see that panic that we had ahead of time.
Or they see the 7-second video that took them an hour and 15 minutes to think of, try to shoot 12 times,
Yeah.
figure out that it's wrong. Number 13 really works. And then you're
Yeah.
still scared to death.
Yeah.
You know, please start this podcast because you know, I just think like when I was doing research on like, oh, well, it's basically like, I'm an author. How do I use TikTok to benefit, you know, the career I'm trying to build? And really great advice. But like you were saying, it's very like uniform. And so much of it didn't apply to my personality. It didn't apply to like where I'm at in my
Absolutely.
publishing career. So just I think if more authors had access to basically what you were just saying of let's talk about everything that happens before you see the TikTok. Let's talk about like the emotional hellscape that we put ourselves
Yeah,
through.
yeah.
And
The
fact
shaking
that, like,
hand as it moves to the mouse.
oh my God. Oh my God. And that just, the cold sweats and well, should I just give up everything just because I can't figure out this 10-second video,
Yeah, yeah.
I think that would be like a great comfort to a lot of writers, especially starting out.
All right,
And
making a note now.
yeah, 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 that I hope you can do that one day.
Yeah, yeah. So we talked a little bit about these lessons that we've learned along the way, especially in the realm of marketing, which is hella relatable. But let's get a little practical to wrap things up. Is like, what kind of tools or practices do you use to push past that panic or manage yourself while you were going through this roller coaster? It's like the how did you stay sane question, which
Yeah.
is assuming that sanity exists.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, I love this question so much. And the answer is nothing I do is really anything related to writing or publishing or marketing. The tools that I use are entirely like lifestyle and what feels good to my heart and my body. I'm a Buddhist, so I do mantra recitation pretty much every day. And, I'm horrible at meditation, which, like, when I say like I'm a Buddhist, probably people think like, oh, you must be really good at it. No, I'm a Buddhist because I'm not good at it.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, meditation is one that really helps me. I do Qigong, which is just, very gentle exercises for getting your energy to circulate, just being in like good health from the inside out. And I, just try to keep my body moving because being sedentary and being so locked into my mind when I'm writing, even when I'm just trying to do the damn marketing, I'm trying to figure out ways to express what I want to say in a way that is like interesting to people. I can get so locked into my mind, and I can get myself into, again, a very isolated state. And I find, moving my body, which a lot of writers say the same thing, moving my body really helps. It gets me out of my brain. And the thing that I've said in a blog that I have on my website, and I think I've said it in a couple TikTok videos, really one of the best tools I give myself is just talking to the people I love. And that sounds so anticlimactic, but I think it's important to never underestimate the power of having a simple conversation with a nice person.
Yeah.
Because again, I get so locked into my own brain, and I can get, a bit stuck in the emotions that I'm feeling. And when you get stuck in your emotions, you get stuck in your brain, not only does your happiness suffer, your creativity absolutely stops.
Absolutely.
I don't know many people who can create positive things when they are stuck in like a negative space.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not one of them. But so all of those things together of like the meditation, the qigong, moving my body, talking with people I love, it gets the knots out of my brain and it gets them out of my heart. And it allows me to go back with like a clearer head, with more joy, with more excitement. And then the creativity flows more. I'm able to write, past that scene that was really tripping me up. I'm able to come up with a stupid funny idea for like a TikTok video. So it's really nothing to do with writing that helps me to write.
Absolutely. I love this because I feel like Western culture has brainwashed us to think that we just need to try harder when we're in
That's the worst.
spaces.
Mhm.
Like we just need to squeeze a little bit more out. We just
Yes.
need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and grit our teeth and just get through it.
Mhm.
And that does not produce good work.
No, it doesn't. And it just perpetuates the problem. And I 100% agree. Like there are so many great things about Western culture. Just the fact that this is, the golden age of indie publishing. I never would have tried to do this even 5 years ago, definitely not 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's something culturally that I feel we've created that's really incredible. But yeah, it's this Western idea of don't take care of your mind, don't take care of your body, don't nurture your heart and your relationships, just work harder because
Yes.
there's a reason you're just not working hard enough.
Yeah.
And that is so counter to what I believe. It's so counter to what I've experienced. I got stuck on, I'm finishing up the sequel to Halo of Fire, and
Mhm.
I got stuck on the ending for, I think it was 13 or 14 months. I
Wow.
couldn't figure it out. I was just like,
Wow.
I can't end it here. I hate it to just stop right at this part. People are not going to like it,
Yeah.
but I don't have the answer. And it was the first time in my life that writer's block really hit me hard. And
Oh,
like, I have always been able to think myself through a plot issue or a boring issue
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was at a time when I was really neglecting those things I just mentioned, the meditation. I wasn't spending as much time with my family. I wasn't even having as many phone calls. I wasn't moving my body. I was just so stagnant, like mentally and physically. And
Mhm.
then I started incorporating those tools back in. And one morning I woke up and I just went, there it is. I got it. So it's just what works for me. And I hope maybe that can work for other people too.
I mean, I've had to very intentionally train myself out of that. Like
Yeah.
very intentionally. Like only in the last year, 2 years have I been
Mhm.
able to train myself out of that response of I just
Yeah.
work harder.
I just got to work harder.
I just need to grind. I just need to put in more hours. I just need to, whatever it is. And like now my default response is detaching from it,
Yes.
and like
Yeah.
moving on to something else, distracting myself with something, whatever it is. And like, even though there's a part of me that still goes through the panic cycle of like, but we're not actually accomplishing the things that we're supposed to be accomplishing. I'm like, all right, you go sit in the corner.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get stoned on my couch and I'll come back to you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You're in a timeout for now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're in a timeout. I'm just gonna like do me for a second and then I'll come
Mhm.
back to you and see how you're feeling.
Yes. Yeah. That's amazing. It's just, force is so rarely the answer,
Right.
especially with creativity, especially with burnout.
Yeah.
It's just like yeah, it's just perpetuating the issue. And like you, it took me a while to learn that it's like if you are not able to come up with the result you want, the answer is not harder work. It's
Yes.
drop it. It's
Yes.
drop it. It's go take care of your body, your heart, your relationships, and then everything else falls into place. It's hard to be patient,
Yeah.
I've got this clock ticking in my head all the time, I feel,
Yeah.
but like you were saying, you're in a timeout, you're going to go sit over there. For me,
Yeah.
it's just like, shut up. You need to
Yeah.
shut up for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, how do I like put on the earmuffs and the blinders and just be like, la la la, I don't hear you. You don't
I know.
exist right now.
I know. Oh my God. That's hard. That's like the parenting yourself. It's just like, oh,
Oh
okay,
man.
is there a manual for this? Because I'm pretty sure there isn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or I mean, that's the funny thing about the creative flow because when you're in it and you're like, have I fed myself today?
Oh my God. Yeah. It's like, well, when was the last time I just stood up because like my butt's falling asleep? I just
Yeah,
realized, or has it been
yeah,
like this for an hour? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Because when you're in that creative flow state, it's almost like you trick yourself into thinking, well, this is always the way it is.
Yes,
I'm creating really easily now, as I have been for 3 hours
yes,
straight. So it's just going to keep going.
yeah,
And it's like
yeah,
whether you take that break or keep forcing it, the flow is going to stop at some point.
yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I don't agree with the recommendation to write every day.
Yes, I'm with you on that one. If you told me to do that, I would say no, because
It's
I'm just,
unsustainable.
it's not sustainable. No, it's like I'm going to write. I have nothing to write. I have nothing to write. I have nothing to write.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Forcing it is, it's just, oh God, it's
yeah,
painful. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I love this idea. I kind of want to keep going, but we're at time.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe I'll start up that marketing panic podcast. I don't know. I'll work on that title. But
Yeah, that'd be
anything
great.
you want to add before we wrap up for today?
The only thing is just I meant to answer it, but I so easily go on tangents. The best thing that I've learned that if I could share with other authors
Mm,
that I hope would help them start before you are ready. And
mm,
I know that that's such an overused phrase, but there is no such thing as being ready, I
mm.
feel. And I started 2.5 years ago, like in earnest, and I had no idea what I was doing the entire time. Up to this moment, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I've still gotten to this point. I still published my first book. I'm working on the second one. So it doesn't matter how scared you are. It doesn't matter that you don't feel your writing style is what it will be one day.
Sure.
Just start.
Everyone's first book sucks.
It does. I hope mine doesn't, but it probably does.
I've
And
made peace with mine. I'm like, I
yeah,
know it's gonna be my worst book, and I'm okay with that.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
And
this is how it
and it's
goes.
that incredible saying of like, I've yet to write my best book,
Yeah,
and you hear authors who have published literally 60 books say that. So it's like, all right,
yeah.
I'm gonna go with that too.
Like, even if you go back to the big names, like their first books are awful.
They are. You know what? And it's like you have to do it wrong to get to the point where you eventually do it really well.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah, I could continue with this conversation, but
I
I gotta eat
know.
lunch. So I
Yeah, that's
gotta
kind of
actually
important.
feed myself, talk about
Yes.
parenting myself.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit
So
better than yeah.
this is powerful stuff that we're talking about. An audience, we definitely encourage you to share your own thoughts and feelings and insights with us as well. Go check out her TikTok. Let us know what you think, because it's good stuff. So we'd love to know how visions like these have impacted you in your own lives. Special thanks to Jenna for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Claire. This is so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. And please comment, like, subscribe below. Check out linktree/ClaireJoyance for my links. And then where can folks find out more about you?
They can find me. I also have a link tree, Jenna Johanna, and that'll take you to my website, Amazon author page, Goodreads. I'm on TikTok, author Jenna Johanna. So yeah, just you and I are just two girls slowly trying to take over the world.
I mean, what a team.
I know. We should just rule everything, to be honest.
Where do I sign up? Excuse me. Servant, please bring me the paper that shows that I am now in charge of everything. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We got to get it past book talk here.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll make sure the links are available for easy access. But until next time, please remember that you all have extraordinary stories to share, and I'm rooting for you as you use them to change the world for the better. Take care, guys.
Bye.